Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with the third episode of my new series, Showdown Throwdown, where I play a couple of VGC 2016 games on Pokemon Showdown. First of all, if you guys have not seen already, yesterday I released a intro to VGC 2016 video, so it's really meant for those that don't really know where to start in VGC 2016 and are looking for some basic information. It also has a bunch of really important / helpful links that I think that will be good resources whether you're new to the game or whether you've been around for a while. Those are all really good resources, so I highly recommend you check out the video if you've not already. I will link it in the description below. And as I mentioned, I will be doing Showdown Throwdown basically every other day, so you can expect 3 to 4 per week, and in the days that I don't do it, I'll be working on guides like the one that I uploaded yesterday. So a late Merry Christmas to everyone, and yeah, let's just get started with this episode. You'll notice that I actually made one small change here. I do have Salamence over the Landorus incarnate form, as we run into a very interesting team, and that's mainly because Landorus-I really wasn't seeing much usage. It was something that I Ethereum on more than anything, and I was like, oh, this could work, but you know, we really just didn't use it too much, so let's see. First of all, I should use this command a little bit more, just so people don't randomly find the room, and we'll ignore the opponent, but let's see. Doomhound here's got a team of Kyogre, Scizor, Palkia, Glaceon, Machamp, and Electros. So I really don't know what to expect right now. This honestly does not look like the most competitive team, but obviously you should never underestimate your opponent just by the looks of their team. So Salamence might actually be worth considering bringing here. I actually do believe I have Tailwind on the Salamence. That's what I put onto it. Yep. So that allows me to just set up a Tailwind, and I can kind of sweep through with Water Spout when Kyogre's in, but I do have to watch out for the Palkia. But the Salamence does have Draco Meteor and it's max speed, so honestly, maybe we'll just bring Salamence out right away. I do like that. So I'll go Salamence. Ferrothorn can be really good here. Depends on whether my opponent has any fire type attacks randomly on Palkia or Electros. I really don't know what Glaceon's doing here though. It kind of looks out of place. So leading with Salamence. Let's see. Maybe Gengar's always a safe lead. You can kind of just Will-O-Wisp and taunt things immediately. So yeah, I go Gengar. I'll go with Kyogre, and Xerneas doesn't seem too bad here. Ferrothorn's pretty good for the Scizor in particular. Part of me wants to bring it, but I guess Xerneas kind of sweeps through everything, and I can one-hit KO with my Kyogre. So we're gonna have a Scizor and Palkia against my Salamence and my Gengar. Not bad here, definitely not bad. So I'm gonna Mega Evolve. I think I'm faster than Palkia because I am running max speed Salamence, so I can go straight for the Draco Meteor, honestly, and just Will-O-Wisp. And I think that's what I'm gonna go for, yeah. Okay, so Palkia protects here, which is a smart play. Is he Lumberry as well? Nope, he's not. So Scizor here, maybe going for a Swords Dance? Yep, he is going to Swords Dance up, which is definitely a good attack, but obviously rendered a little bit useless here. So I could go for the Hyper Voice, predicting him to switch out, but he doesn't have any good switch outs, even to a Draco Meteor. So I could double up on that slot with a Draco Meteor and a Sludge Bomb. And honestly, that's the move I want to go for right now. But if he's inclined to switch out, then Hyper Voice might be the better play. But nah, let's just Draco Meteor and Sludge Bomb. Oh, he actually goes straight for the Bullet Punch here. So yeah, I actually don't pick up the knockout here with Draco, but Sludge Bomb here is enough to finish off the deal. And he obviously went for the Bullet Punch onto Gengar, which did over 50% because of the Swords Dance boost. And so Glaceon comes back in. And obviously I forgot to mention, but as always, if you guys enjoy this series and want to see more, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. But Glaceon coming in here is interesting. Could potentially be Choice Scarf, honestly. So I don't really know what to expect, but I think the play I want to make is to just protect here to scout out and switch out into Kyogre. This gives me the opportunity to just go for Water Spouts, given that his main resist is out of the way. As Glaceon actually goes for the Protect, so it's no Choice Scarf variant. Scizor actually ups for another Swords Dance, a really strong option, but not enough to save my opponent since now I can just Tailwind and Water Spout. Glaceon's going to go for the Ice Shard here. We're going to see the double up into Salamence, but because the Scizor was intimidated and it is burned, it does absolutely nothing, and I'm able to survive with, you know, obvious ease. And that's a pretty quick first game in today's episode. I assume Kyogre is my opponent's last one, but with Tailwind up now, I can just Hyper Voice Water Spout. So yeah, having Salamence here was actually super helpful because it immediately gave me a good counter to Palkia. One of the reasons why I like Mega Salamence a lot in this format is because of the fact that you're very fast and you can outspeed those dragon types and just get Draco Meteors off. The biggest culprit is against Mega Rayquaza, but obviously against Palkia and all the other dragon legendaries as well. So Hyper Voice isn't going to do too much there because of the fact that I am at -2 special attack, but still almost pick up the knockout. Water Spout there does so much damage, of course, with the critical hit, but Xerneas comes in and we'll be able to seal up the deal here. So pretty quick win in the first episode. Honestly, pretty surprised to see Glaceon, Electros, and Machamp, but my opponent's rating was obviously relatively high, so pretty cool to see that. But let's just find our next game here. Otherwise, yeah, I guess analyzing that game, like, I don't think most of those Pokemon have too much of a place in the format. The thing is, if you're thinking about non-restricted Pokemon you want to use, you know, they really have to be able to have an impact, right? So like Glaceon, Electros, like they kind of stick around, maybe they can get it a KO. I think with Choice Scarf, you know, sometimes you can surprise your opponent, but otherwise, you know, not be able to do too much. So there's a reason why Pokemon like Gengar and Ferrothorn are able to do really well right now in Crobat, because, you know, they help support your team by setting up Tailwind and whatnot, and so they're a little bit more support based, but their offense is also really strong against the legendaries in particular, and so like, you know, I couldn't really see a place for Glaceon and Electros and Machamp, but who knows? Obviously, we didn't get to see my opponent's full team and see those Pokemon utilized fully. So let's get into this next game. This is against Sir Chicken. VGC is actually a very prominent player in the seniors division. I think won 2 regional championships and got second at a third one last year. So excellent player. Let's see. So he's got a team of Kangaskhan, Groudon, Xerneas, Crobat, Talonflame, and Ferrothorn. So the question is, do I want to bring Salamence or do I want to be in Kangaskhan? Salamence might honestly be a little bit better here. Part of me wishes I had a fire type attack on the Salamence, but obviously there's no room for it. But the Hyper Voice spread is always good. But I could just go with my typical Kangaskhan Gengar lead. But honestly, Salamence might be better here, especially since I anticipate him leading with Crobat. So I could go with something like Salamence and kind of want to go Salamence Gengar. Yeah, I like Salamence Gengar. Get the Intimidate off, and I'll have Kyogre in the back. Xerneas, really not that great in this matchup, given that he's got 4 resists. Wow, excuse me. Not even 3, and a potential Pokemon like in Geomancy, obviously, in his own Xerneas, so go Ferrothorn as my last one. But we should be in store for a pretty good match here. Otherwise, let's see. So the tricky thing about facing Tailwind is that your opponent's probably going to be able to get it off in this format if they play well enough, because Crobat's such a speedy Pokemon, so unless you have Taunt, a priority Taunt that is, you're not going to be able to shut it down, and Talonflame with the Gale Wings can just instantly get it up, and kind of interesting to see both Pokemon on his team. But he's going to lead with Crobat and Xerneas here against my Salamence and my Gengar. So this is pretty interesting right from the beginning, because I could theoretically just Hyper Voice Sludge Bomb Xerneas to pick up a knockout, but the question is, does he predict that and just go for the safe Protect and Tailwind play? Because then I could Tailwind with my own Salamence. Oh, and the thing is, if let's say he goes for Tailwind and Geomancy, then he will be able to just sweep through everything, really. So I could take a gamble here. The safer play, I think, is the Tailwind and Taunt, but then he can just go straight for a Dazzling Gleam. So I really want to Hyper Voice Sludge Bomb here, I really do, but that's just too obvious of a play. You know what, I don't think he's expecting the Tailwind, so I'm going to go with my own Tailwind. And I will Taunt the Xerneas, in case. Okay, but he does Protect, good. So there's the Tailwind, but I'm able to match it with my own Tailwind, and now I will be able to double up on that slot. So yeah, I'm actually going to go straight for the Hyper Voice and the Sludge Bomb. Not much you can really switch into here. Hyper Voice is going to be really good against all of his Pokemon, given that none of them actually resisted. So super, super powerful. So I went for the Tailwind because I figured, you know, you probably aren't expecting it, especially because I actually ran Mega Salamence almost all of VGC 2015. So players who might, you know, obviously this is my first time using it in this format, might be expecting me to use like my old Mega Salamence set. But here I am going to be able to get the Hyper Voice off. I am able to get the Sludge Bomb off, and that instantly picks up a knockout. Crobat does get the Super Fang off, but only does 50% to Salamence. That's good damage, but at the same time, you know, Crobat can actually pick up knockouts. I think this is a really important point that everyone should know if you're playing against Crobat. It, you know, obviously sets up Tailwind, but a lot of the times it could potentially be dead weight once it kind of just sticks around, because if, you know, your win condition is actually to knock out everything around it, because once everything around it is gone, Crobat can't do anything other than continuously Super Fang. So that's a really important point when dealing with Crobat. But he's going to bring in Kangaskhan, which is obviously a very good Pokemon to have in right now. Let's see. Crobat still being the fastest Pokemon on the field. I could just go for the double Protect play here, honestly. He might want to fake out But I get if he fakes out Gengar, then I just get a Hyper Voice. Yeah, so I'm just gonna Hyper Voice Will-O-Wisp here. So he goes for the Sucker Punch, but yeah, I'm not going to give that to him because, you know, that's like, you never want to get Sucker Punched by a Kangaskhan when you have Gengar, and I do get the burn off successfully as well, which is excellent for me. So he is in a really bad position at this point. Wish Hyper Voice knocked out Crobat there, but, you know, it's a testament to how bulky everyone is playing with their Crobats, and that makes sense because there's no reason to invest in attack or special attack. So players obviously just go for max speed and then invest in bulk. So let's see, Kangaskhan won't be able to knock me out at this point. You know, this... Actually, yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go for the Taunt play onto my Gengar. I think that would have been better. I don't know if he carries Taunt, but, you know, most Crobats do, so... A little bit surprised to not see something like a Fake Out Taunt there. But let's see what I can do here. So I can Protect Salamence and Sludge Bomb Kangaskhan. I mean, yeah, his last one's probably the Groudon, so if I just pick up a knockout here, Kyogre just instantly seals up the deal. Yeah, and Sucker Punch won't knock me out. I guess I'll just go for the Hyper Voice Sludge Bomb here, though. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna Sucker Punch, but it doesn't even pick up the knockout, so yeah, that's gonna ensure the game, because it goes, Super Fang goes after, and as I mentioned, Super Fang doesn't pick up knockouts, so that's kind of one of the tricky things of running Crobat, right? You can get the Super Fang off, and that's excellent against the Primals, but you can't do anything else really afterwards, so we're gonna see Groudon come in, and all we have to do here is just, actually, I'm gonna go play it safe here. Tailwind ended on both sides, so I'm actually just gonna Tailwind and switch out to Kyogre, and then I can just Water Spout for the win. And even if he presses his blades, Water Spout does enough. Yep, and he's going to go for the Eruption, so we're going to be able to seal up the game. So Hyper Voice, Water Spout, and 4-0 victory there, and it was all determined by that original Tailwind on Mega Salamence's end. So first episode featuring Mega Salamence, and it has had quite an impact right away. A good game to start checking there. Pretty exciting one as well, and we're going to get into the third game of today's episode. So let's see. Opponent rocking a team of Xerneas, Rayquaza, Talonflame, Crobat, Smeargle, and Lopunny. So Lopunny was one of the Megas that, you know, we haven't really seen around too much, but it always, like, you know, someone tries to make it work. I think John Hu made it to day 2 of US Nationals with it, so it's pretty interesting. Smeargle and Crobat, obviously very scary, so I'm honestly kind of surprised to see a lot of players running both Crobat and Talonflame, given that they both want to set up Tailwind, but, you know, Talonflame's a little bit different because unlike Crobat, which is more support-wise, Talonflame actually gets very heavy offense off with your Brave Birds, but it's also more frail, so it typically goes down instantly. So let's see how I want to approach this matchup. Smeargle is very scary. It is very, very scary. And the question is, do I want Kangaskhan or Salamence? I think I still want Salamence here, honestly, because he has the Rayquaza, and Salamence is an excellent answer to it. But Kangaskhan's also very good here. Then again, he doesn't have any flying resists, so Hyper Voice can kind of just clean through as well. So perhaps I'll lead with Salamence and Gengar again. And in the back, I will go with my... Maybe this is the same 4 again. It's funny because then the first time it was like Kangaskhan, Gengar, Ferrothorn, Kyogre, but this time I'm changing it up a little bit, but you can see why the Salamence has improved some matchups that were previously not as optimal. Yeah, interesting, actually my opponent does not have a Primal Evolution, or a Primal Pokemon, so that's kind of cool to see because, you know, most teams you see nowadays do have the Primal, one of the two. So do I even want to bring my Kyogre? Because I mean, Kyogre is still just so good against these 4. But Ferrothorn and Xerneas might honestly be better. Then again, I can still bring my Kyogre to get rid of the Fire type weakness, and then I'll bring Ferrothorn. Yeah, I still like those 4 the most. Okay, so he leads with Lopunny and Xerneas against my Salamence and Gengar. Let's see, yeah, Lopunny. I believe he can Mega Evolve and Fake Out Gengar, right? I actually don't know Mega Lopunny too well. But let's see. Could switch out here. Salamence, Gengar, Kyogre, Ferrothorn. Yeah, I think the switch to Ferrothorn might be best. But I don't know if he... What do you do? Just Fake Out? Do you Geomancy? Or do you just attack? I do want a Tailwind here, I really do. But... No, I'll switch out and Protect. Yeah, so he is Mega Lopunny. So that means he's not Mega Rayquaza. Yep, he does go for the Fake Out there onto Gengar, and he goes for the Dazzling Gleam. Okay, excellent. That's what I was hoping for. So that works out perfectly for me here. So he's in a kind of a tricky position now. So I kind of can just go for the Gyro Ball into Xerneas and the Will-O-Wisp. But at the same time, you know, he might switch that out into something like Talonflame. So I kind of want to Sludge Bomb that slot. Actually, yeah, I'll just Sludge Bomb Gyro Ball here. Oh, but he goes for the low kick here on a Ferrothorn. Wow, I was not expecting to do that much. He's going to be able to pick up the knockout, I think. I get the poison here. Dazzling Gleam. Oh, picks up the knockout because Xerneas is just so powerful. That is not good news for me here. Will mean that I can bring in Salamence once again, so I can go for the Hyper Voice Sludge Bomb play. But I'm not happy about that. I should have thought about that. I really thought the switch was coming because I could have easily protected. Oh, and Return still picks up the knockout even at -2 attack. I also wasn't anticipating that, so this Mega Lopunny really catching me off guard, and looks like it's going to be able to hand us our first loss on the series after, I think, what, it was 10 games in a row that we won? But I played that quite poorly, especially since I had a decent lead matchup there. So I'm going to bring in Kyogre, but he should be able to outspeed. He's just going to go for the Brave Bird here. Let's see if we outspeed him. Nope, we don't. And this is a perfect example of how fast-paced the format is, so really well played by my opponent there, and yeah, it was just unexpected to deal with Mega Lopunny. I mean, the first turn played out well, right? But then the next turn, like, I should have been, I mean, low kick was obvious, I just really didn't think it would do that much damage, but my Ferrothorn isn't also the bulkiest, and that kind of was everything. Better play for me was to protect there and Will-O-Wisp, but he could have also returned my Gengar, so yeah, Lopunny giving me surprising problems, and me not bringing my own Xerneas actually resulted in that, so perhaps Xerneas would have been the right Pokemon to bring into that matchup. But okay, getting into our fourth game, probably our last one for today's episode. See what my opponent's rocking here. Team, also another Smeargle here, but otherwise we've got Smeargle, another Palkia actually, which is kind of cool since we had a Palkia earlier, Groudon, Mawile, Salamence with my opponent's and a Whimsicott, so 2 support Pokemon in Whimsicott and Smeargle, and 2 potential Megas in Salamence and Mawile, so that's pretty interesting. And Palkia here making another appearance, so, you know, this team looking a little bit more standard than the first team of today's episode, so I'm wondering, you know, what the Palkia here really does, or whether my opponent even wants to bring the Palkia. Another thing you have to consider is that Whimsicott does actually get access to Trick Room, so that's an option for my opponent. But, you know, I don't really think the Trick Room is coming out here. Tailwind makes a lot more sense. So what do I want to lead with? Smeargle once again making the appearance, which is really scaring me. And unfortunately with the dual Intimidate option on my opponent's end, I think I'm going to go with Salamence again. But the tricky thing about that is I don't get Fake Out as a result, so I can't just like go for a Fake Out onto Smeargle, which is kind of obnoxious. You know, I haven't really been bringing Xerneas at all, and I mentioned this in previous episodes, but it's because I'm not feeling too comfortable with it as of right now. Like, I think they're just, you know, everyone's team is obviously going to have multiple counters to it, so, you know, I can't bring it well enough, but, like, the previous game demonstrated, even though I had multiple counters, or not multiple counters, I mean, Ferrothorn being the main one, my opponent still ended up bringing it, but I really need to figure out what to lead with here. I guess I'll go with Gengar. Yeah, I like Gengar Salamence, I think, with Kyogre in the back, and Xerneas for the last one is tempting, especially against these two guys, but I feel like my opponent's not going to. And Ferrothorn here, once again, checks everything once I beat Groudon, so I'm going to go with the Ferrothorn. Looks like we do see the Smeargle Palkia lead from my opponent, but this is really scary because I would guess it's Scarf Smeargle here. So I am going to taunt the Smeargle, I'm going to Mega Evolve, and I'm just going to Protect here to get the speed boost. Maybe worth considering conserving the Intimidate, but nah. Okay, so Salamence protects here. Smeargle actually goes for the Fake Out. Oh wow, excellent. Oh, and he had Trick Room Palkia. So I talked about Trick Room on Whimsicott, but the Palkia here had Trick Room, and that was not something I was anticipating because even in 2010, when Dialga and Palkia were really popular, like Palkia was typically used with a Hobbenberry and more just for offensive, you know, maneuvering, whereas Dialga would be your Trick Room user. Not to say that Palkia didn't have Trick Room, but that was definitely something that actually just slipped my mind. So you can see how in the last game, like me not, you know, having much experience against Mega Lopunny as a result, not actually knowing the damage calculations kind of hurt me a little bit in this game, just not expecting that Trick Room. You know, it still worked out okay, but it's going to be a little bit tricky. I think what I'm actually going to do is I feel like Smeargle's going to switch out, but the thing is, you could switch out into Groudon or Mawile, and you probably switch out into Groudon right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Sludge Bomb Palkia and switch out into Ferrothorn. Yep, there's the Groudon. expecting a Spatial Rend or a Dragon-type attack, though maybe my opponent's smart and targets Gengar. Oh, but we see the Gravity come out instead, so that's used for Precipice Blades. That's actually huge concern for me right now, because that means that Kyogre isn't a good switch-in. This is really bad. This is very bad. I'm gonna double protect here. Yeah, he's not gonna switch up, because right now he's got his main offense going. Yep, so he's just gonna Precipice Blades. So Gravity, Trick Room, Palkia, that's really cool. He's gonna go for the Earth Power here onto Ferrothorn. Let's see. So Kyogre can obviously take one Precipice Blades. So could switch into Kyogre and just Power Whip Palkia, but Power Whip's not a KO, I don't think. But I might be able to take both Precipice Blades and Earth Power. Actually, I should be able to in retrospect, so yeah, I'm gonna pull that play. Oh, but this is really risky because he might predict the switch. I kind of have to go for it, I think. Actually, no, sacrificing Gengar might have been better. Yeah, Power Whip doesn't pick up the knockout there. He's got Citrus Berry as well. That's really cool. So he's going to Precipice Blades here. Oh, and he makes the good read, targets down Gengar. So unfortunately, I lose yeah, that slot. And like I mentioned, yeah, that probably was a mistake. As Precipice Blades, I can take another one, so I can actually just switch in my Salamence and Hyper Voice and Power Whip. Yeah. So if I don't miss Power Whip, we can still win this one. But I guess he can Fire type attack my Ferrothorn. I've probably lost this one, but I've said that about a bunch of games we've had on the series, so I'm not going to give up right now. But yeah, I played way too risky. You know, Gengar is much less important in this matchup than Kyogre, because the main thing about Kyogre is once Trick Room ends, then I just instantly threaten the Groudon, so there was no reason to really risk that switch in. I kind of wanted to get offensive maneuvering in, but instead of I could have sacrificed the Gengar, brought in the Kyogre, and just protected instead. So that was a very bad play on my end, and I should have fully thought it out a little bit more. But my opponent actually making the double switch here into Smeargle and Mawile. This actually gives me a slight opportunity to win this one because I get a lot of free damage onto both Pokemon. You see that Mawile takes over 50% from both attacks, and Trick Room does expire, but maybe that's what I needed. But the thing is, Smeargle here could have Trick Room as well. Very well may have. See, Power Whip. We did see Smeargle has Fake Out, probably has Dark Void. I think he might have Trick Room, so, but he's not going to Trick Room here, right? I mean, you're probably going to Fake Out. So I think I am going to protect here because I don't want to take the... Ooh, but he might outspeed me in Dark Void. Yikes. I'll protect. Let's see. I kind of want to Leech Seed here. No. Yeah, I don't have enough answers to Groudon, which is the biggest issue. So I'm running out of time here too. I'm gonna protect, and I'm gonna Leech Seed here. Oh, he switches out. Yummy. But does he Trick Room with Smeargle? Does he Dark Void? Oh no, he Fake Outs, excuse me. Huh. So yeah, we are trying to make something work right now, and it might be happening, but let's see. So I'm gonna Hyper Voice here, and I'm actually gonna switch out into Gengar. Yeah, the Leech Seed there is actually huge because that's another means of offense. He's actually smart enough to pull the switch out right now, getting the Intimidate off, but that's fine. I'm gonna switch it to Gengar, which gives me a little bit more offensive maneuvering, and just we get the Hyper Voice off against Mawile. So we are slightly bringing this back right now. Groudon comes back in though. And that's the main concern. Gravity is obviously over, but without Kyogre to switch in, yeah, you can see how much of a difference it would have been if I had Kyogre as opposed to this Gengar. This is tricky. Because he might have Sucker Punch and like Eruption or a Fire type attack. I mean, I could just Hyper Voice Taunt here. That's what I'm going to go for. He Mega Evolves. Groudon protects. He Sucker Punches Gengar. I get the Hyper Voice, so I knock out Mawile. So right now, Mega Salamence is really carrying us back into this match. But once again, I don't have that many offensive tools against... Okay, so let's see. Palkia comes back in. I just Draco Meteor here and Sludge Bomb. Yeah, I'm gonna go for it because he can't knock out my Salamence right now, and I have the Focus Sash on Gengar, so I can switch back out into Ferrothorn. Ooh, and he's got Rock Slide. That is nice to see. That's excellent. So I'm gonna switch out into Ferrothorn here. and I will Sludge Bomb again. Poison would be awesome, but I don't think you even need it at this point. Unfortunately, Gengar goes down, but given that he's not using a fire type attack, I don't know, does he not have it, or what's the deal here? So I'm gonna go for the Power Whip and the Hyper Voice. Oh, it doesn't pick up the KO, but he just spams Rock Slide. Yeah, that's going to be a win for us because Salamence is a beast. And Ferrothorn actually picks up the knockout there with Power Whip. So maybe my opponent opting for no fire type attack. So we're able to close out today's episode with a win in a game that looked very dire from the first turn because of the Trick Room setup for my opponent. But the most important thing was we were able to render Smeargle completely useless and fully take advantage of that. So we did lose our first game in the first 12 games I think we featured in this series, but you know, that game was kind of my mistake. Definitely was very winnable, and it wasn't too bad luck or anything as well. So that does conclude today's episode. I'm actually just curious what my overall record on this account is. Okay, so we're 19-3 right now. Might be switching up teams in the future, maybe sticking with the same thing, so let me know what you guys want to see. Obviously I changed the Salamence, so that actually changed the dynamic of the team a fair amount, so it's pretty interesting to play around with that in today's episode, given that Kangaskhan didn't see an appearance really at all. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, leave a like if you did. Go check out the Introduction to VGC 2016 video if you have not already, and we'll be back with a new episode of Showdown Throwdown very soon. Anyway, that's it for today's episode, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright. Peace.